Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. Today I have a familiar face to the channel. He is the zombie. He is Mr. Tyler Hill. And
What's up,
he's
Carlo Perusa?
what up, brother? Nice to have you on the show again, man. You've been a busy man lately. You were in action, Pensacola, Florida, Island Fights just on Friday night, man. And you took on a very tough dude, Clay Witt, a guy who was a top prospect. And I mean, you only took this fight on like 8 or 9 days' notice. No one wanted to fight this cat. A lot of talks was if he would have won, he'd go to the big shows. And if we all didn't know, big first round finish. You took him out in about a minute. Huge knockout.
Clay
What is it?
Witt is so cool. Let me start there. Let me just say that, okay? Nothing I say is against him in any way. Okay? Cool. Gate kept. Gate kept. They call me a gatekeeper. Why'd you have to call me a gatekeeper? But it's okay. I first was like, it's okay. I'm good with that. I've lost a lot of fights, and I earned that. I did that to myself, and Alan was like, no, you're not okay with that. We're about to get on a win streak. You're too good to be called a gatekeeper. So, that part felt good.
Early in that first round, I mean, the fight didn't last very long, but it really looked like you were putting a lot of pressure on him. You kept trying to go into his face, try to keep it with the hands. Was the game plan to keep the pressure to avoid him for the potential takedown?
Well, he was bigger than me, and that's probably the first time I ever fought somebody with a bigger frame than me, because I'm pretty tall for 170, and so I didn't get too close to him. I was kind of bouncy stance and kind of that Russian boxing thing, and Alan's been getting me to do that a lot, and it makes sense against the bigger guy, because if he comes forwards at me, I can move backwards, and that did happen, and I felt pretty comfortable with that. And then my legs, I got a lot of skill in my legs, and I don't think they expected that. I don't think anybody expects it, because now I've got good skill in my hands, and that used to not be true at all. So it's cool. There's a new style now.
Obviously, you were able to put him out with a nasty shot there. Walk me through it. At what point did you see the opening to take him out?
I knew he was going to try to hit me with his right hand. I mean, that was pretty much it. He hit me first, and he hit me like right behind my ear, and it didn't daze me, but it knocked me off balance. And I mean, like, I felt it. He was a big dude. He was strong too. You could tell. But after he hit me with that, I said, okay, he's about to try to hit me. And I didn't know. I didn't know nothing about the guy. I heard he was a wrestler at weigh-ins, and I was like, okay. And turns out he's like a really good wrestler. But once I figured out he's gonna try to hit me, I threw my head through on that right hand where you're all the way through, and if that misses that right hand, then they got to be bringing their head back to the center when you throw that left hook. So that's something. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, and I like to use it. I'm not surprised that worked. I'm not surprised that went that way, but I am surprised he tried to fight me like that. He tried to come and knock me out. So turned out to not be a good idea.
So after you're able to knock him down, you landed a lot of shots on him. It felt like it went on kind of forever on the ground. Did you feel like it was kind of a late stoppage?
I mean, no, he was still fighting. He was still coming back. He was really trying to, but when you're getting hit like that, it's like just shot of whiskey, shot of whiskey, shot of whiskey. You can't really keep your balance, So, and then I went for the choke on it. Pretty solid chance that I would have got that choke. I mean, I would say 100%, but some people might say that I wouldn't have, but Brandon Davis said that he wishes they would have let it go so that I could have finished him with the choke, so that there would have been no question. And I don't really care, but I see his point. They can let it go next time. Y'all cannot stop my fights fast, ever. That's fine. I'm not looking for y'all to stop my fight fast.
After the fight, obviously a lot of emotion for you. I mean, you were absolutely jacked up. That place was going crazy. What was that feeling like, man?
Well, Dean Toole had told me like 3 or 4 fights before mine that they just approved me for PFL, and then if I don't get suspended, that I'll have PFL fight. And I was like, win or lose? What are you saying? I don't. If I win, I get it. And then I said, well, okay, I'm about to go beat your boy. And he said, if you do that, you will absolutely have a PFL fight against the guy from PFL Africa. And I said, okay. So didn't really change how I fought, though. I still did the same thing.
So you literally found that out like in the intermission or like, shortly after that, like an hour before the fight?
Or less, yeah.
I
And,
mean,
and I'm not being like too personal or it's no big deal, but financially, that was as clutch as possible. Like, this was red zone. I told Dean this right when it happened. I was like, 3 times I've hit like a really financial low where I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And then 3 times you've called me either that day or the next day. One time was PFL. One time was Game Bred in September when I fought that dude from Venezuela or wherever he was from, South America. And then now, 3 times this happened. So Dean Toole's like my guardian angel.
Following that contest, I mean, obviously you were extremely jacked up, as I just mentioned a little bit. But knowing that you had the PFL contract, when did you first start feeling the excitement of it? Was it instant, just knowing that you were able to find the PFL as soon as you won?
No, I didn't think about it at all. I didn't even care about the PFL when I was in that ring. The only thing I cared about was getting to talk, was getting to use the microphone to say the thing that I had to say. It was like I was praying about that the days leading up to it, and like praying about something is also like really digging deep within myself and deciding what matters to me about this, being like 100% honest with myself and getting to that microphone and saying the shit I have to say was the absolute most important priority in my life right now. So that's what really I was fueled by. And then my kids too, like my oldest daughter was there with me and they knew I was supposed to get my ass whooped. Like that was the plan for the dude I was fighting, was for him to take my momentum.
In that situation, did you tell your kids that you were the underdog and,
Yes.
on paper he was supposed to win? You had that conversation with them?
Yeah, for sure. They even my oldest daughter that's 10 years old. I mean, it's to the point where it's like he's a wrestler. She knows what a wrestler is. OD Delaney trained with us for a long time. I was like, yeah, he's gonna try to hold me down on the ground like that, punch me in the side of my head, and I'm gonna try to not let him do that. And yeah, she's on my ass too about training, so it's good.
Following the win, I was texting you a little bit, and you were driving your daughter back to the Luxie. What was that car ride like, knowing you went out, you conquered what you set out to do, you pulled off a huge victory, a PFL championship? Was that a pretty satisfying car ride back home?
Alan Belcher's truck broke down on the side of the road on the ride back, so I was taking gallon jugs to a truck rest area and filling them up and coming back and pouring them in his radiator and getting him from, it was by Alabama and Florida state line, so it was a good ways from home. So didn't have too much time to think about it, and then pulled an all-nighter. And I'm 33 years old now, so that's not an option for me. So I was wrecked. I just now recovering from that.
So you got a phone call from Alan on the way home that his radiator is having issues and he needed help?
I was 20 miles past him, and I turned around in the middle of the damn interstate and went back. And we did. I got home at 4 o'clock from that.
What was that like, sharing that moment with Alan? Obviously, Alan, a guy means a lot to you. You met him over at Thailand. He's been on your side ever since. What was that like celebrating with him?
Man, you want to tell you about something that was interesting from this that like really hit was so there was the locker rooms, and then I went to the hockey team locker room, like off to the side. Nobody was in there. It was unlocked. It was like, hell yeah. So I went in there by myself, and then Alan showed up like an hour later, and he came in there, and I've lost a lot of fights, and there was a lot of close fights. It was a lot of fights that like it looked like I was gonna win, or I dropped somebody or whatever, and then I ended up losing them. Those are the hardest conversations to have at the end. And then the last fight, I just got steamrolled by that Brazilian. He's really good, but I don't care. I don't ever expect to get done like that. Well, I just had the thought when he got there. I saw it in his face. I was like, oh, man, he doesn't want to see me lose again. I'm fighting a big-ass wrestler. And I just thought about it, and I was like, dude, I can't handle this. I can't. Like, I used to look up to this dude playing with him on the video game. I didn't know him in real life at all. And then now we're sitting in a locker room where nobody's ever me and him. And I'm about to go out here and lose. And I ruled it out. I was like, no, I'm going to win this fight. And I figured something out. I figured something out, and I think I'm going to use it again in the PFL next Friday. I think I'm going to knock that dude out.
You know, last week when we talked, you mentioned to me that you never thought you'd be fighting for Island Fights again. Did you ever feel like you would ever fight in the PFL again?
I'll tell you another true story. I realized this and brought it up. My PFL bag's under my house, and it's got like leaves all over it, dirt and stuff. Because I quit using it because I felt like I was like a poser. And then a girl that I held pads with that like really supported me. You know, she was moving far off, and she's like, "Can I have something to remember you by?" And I gave her my PFL shorts and my name on them. She's like, "What? This is the biggest fight you ever had. You're gonna want these." And I was like, "I don't want those. That's an embarrassment to me. I would love to get rid of those. I don't ever want to see that again. The PFL is not something that's in my life, and it never will be again because I ruined that opportunity. I threw it away, and now this all happening this way is like timed with everything else in my life and all the other changes I'm making and like how I'm living differently, like truly living differently. Oh my gosh, it's a lot just to even experience.
You know, obviously with the backstory you just provided, you know, being able to fight in the PFL again, just an amazing accomplishment in its own. But are you feeling maybe not a lot of pressure, but are you feeling like, you know, if you have this opportunity to do it again, you need to right the wrong, you need to go out there and put on a dominating performance?
Yeah, I'm confident in myself to do this. I'm just different than like I'm gonna go through an entire process before the fight. I could write it on paper for you right now. Probably like 3 pages of paper. Go through every minute of what I'll do before that fight. But in the end, I'm just confident in myself. I know I can knock people out with all 4 limbs on my body: my left foot, my right foot, my right hand, my left hand, and my knees and my elbows. Like there's so many things I'm good at that I haven't used yet. And I just feel like I'm freeing myself up and getting loose enough in a fight and like calm enough that I can actually access the muscle memory that I have to do those things.
You know, we talked about in the past, you've overcome a lot of obstacles in your life. You've really turned your life around. Compared to the first time you were in the PFL to now, how has Tyler Hill changed?
Bro, I went through all that bad shit after the first PFL fight, if I'm being honest. Like, I've been through a lot of things in my life earlier. I've been messing up for so long. Most of it was after the PFL. Like, the hardest times that I had in my life, as far as like addiction and shit, and just waking up for the wrong reasons every day and being dead end, was after the PFL. So, I mean, this is totally different. It's totally different. And I've been like this for a while now. This isn't like 1 week. This is like a year. So, or longer. So, and I'm still working on it every single day.
You know, you've overcome some very tough times, obviously, but what was maybe the deciding factor of, you know what, things need to change? What was really the motivation to get yourself to the position is in today?
This all just happened. But I don't like to be like sad, you know. I'm like a happy guy now. I like to be positive all the time. Like no matter what, I'm not gonna be negative. I'm not gonna say something negative about somebody. But just to give context on how far I've come from that, because a lot of people know about this. The breaking point for this was when I was like, all right, like, I don't want to be alive anymore. Like, not, oh, I'm going to kill myself. Yeah, I've said that a million times in my life. That's just a baby kicking and screaming, throwing a fit, begging for attention. And if you don't realize that, that's what it is. I mean, I've been through it so much, but it was just truly a feeling of like, I ruined all the things that I had that brought me happiness in my life. And now I'm putting substances in my body to do it. And that's not sustainable. That's not, so it was like dead end, bam. And, yeah, came back from that with help from a lot of people.
During those dark times and tough times, did you ever think about giving up on the whole MMA career?
I did. That's the part that so many people don't know is like I quit fighting 2021 after the PFL. I was done. That was it. I wasn't fighting anymore. I ended up coming back and fighting Drew Fickett, and that was like an opportunity that I was like, okay, I think I'm supposed to do this. But I was training with Alan in his garage to be sober. That's the truth. But it sucks, but that's the truth.
You've opened up to me before, and you've mentioned to me when you're training MMA, when you're in the fight game like this, it allows you to stay away from that path. That allows you to focus on the positivity. You feed off of it. One thing that you mentioned to me that I think is crazy is you mentioned the feeling you get about a half an hour before the fight. And it's like, what am I doing? This is crazy. Am I nuts? I might die out here. You love that. You thrive off of that. Why do you get that from that feeling?
Well, I'll tell you this. I didn't deal with that in this fight. I figured out how to beat it. I figured it's like the final token. Dude, I'm so confident because I don't have that death feeling in my gut anymore. I figured out the mental approach I have to have. Because, dude, I just don't like conflict. I grew up in a house that wasn't like, there was enough of that. I hate the animosity. I don't want to push each other. I don't want to, what's up, bitch? I don't want to do that ever. And so that whole, oh, is this guy going to be, confrontational? Is this guy going to mean mug the shit out of me the whole time? I don't like that. I figured out how to just go around that myself. Rather, it doesn't matter what they do. The guy ended up being super cool, but even if he would have been an asshole, I think that I was already prepared for it because I had him in my head outfitted to be a certain person that I needed him to be for me to perform my best. So that is a new addition that just happened. I don't think I'm going to feel that way anymore.
What do you want your kids, what do you want your daughters to learn and grow maybe from your experience and your journey in life?
That's a tough question because MMA is rough, dude. MMA is a rough path. The lessons that you learn in this, you should have learned from your parents probably. That's why most fighters come from broken homes, is because our parents didn't teach us shit, so we have to go learn it the hard way, and we want to fight. So I guess you could say not to give up and not quit, but at the same time, maybe take a smarter path than I did. But I'm learning for myself so I can teach them the truths about life. That's the real answer. They might not learn from me. This is teaching me so I can teach them properly.
So many people watch mixed martial arts in this day and age, whether it be the PFL, whether it be UFC, or bare knuckle one, so many different platforms to watch MMA in this day and age. But I think very few people understand the life of a mixed martial artist, and they fail to realize, well, yeah, on TV, you see the fame, you see the glory, but there is a dark side of mixed martial arts. It is a true thing. You've been public before. It's like, what motivates me to fight is money. Like, I need to feed my kids. I got to pay my bills. Like, I'm doing this to make money. There's a time that you've told me that, yeah, I don't really care if I go to the UFC again. PFL, it's not even on the radar. I just need to make money.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit.
That's a blessing in a way, though. From where I'm sitting at right now, that feels like a blessing. I'm going to tell you a true story. 2020, I was standing in the house I'm in right now, living like a log cabin. It's amazing. I'm so blessed to be here. It was right when we moved in here. And I think Socrates Pierre was the last guy I had fought. Me and him had a really good fight. They were almost getting me in the UFC on short notice. And I was kind of hesitant about it. I mean, I said yes to them, but in my own mind, talking to my wife, I was a little hesitant about it. And I remember saying, I was like, sometimes I wish we had a whole bunch of kids or something to where I'd have like no choice, to where I would just have to do this, or I'd get fired from my job or something. So it's like, oh shit, I have to fight. I mean, there's no option. That's happened so many times now since we've had more babies, and it's like, that's even crazy. How did we not have any kids for 7 years? I don't know, but the motivation that I have is what I needed. The motivation that I have is like, you see how I look. I'm like ripped. It's because I eat perfect. I used to eat sweets a good bit. I mean, now I'll go on vegan diets. I'll go on carnivore diets. I'll do all that. And it's just a challenge to myself. And it makes me more focused in my life. That's all new. I've never been that person before. This is all new. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that I seem different. I'm not surprised that it's showing in fights.
I think one thing that some people don't know about you is the fact that you've been doing this for so long. I mean, your earliest amateur contest that's recorded online is 2009. Obviously, mixed martial arts has grown so much from that period of time. Now it's huge. Obviously, it's culturally accepted. 15 plus years ago, this was not as culturally accepted. It was banned in certain places. Your senators calling this human cockfighting. I mean, it was really the wild, wild west in some promotions. In the early days, I'm pretty sure you do, but do you have any crazy or wild fighting horror stories of fighting in unsafe conditions, mystery opponents, bad medicals, anything that just makes you scratch your head?
Oh yeah, so many. One cool thing, I think I've told you this, but maybe not. My first amateur fight in 2009, Greenville, Mississippi, main event, Dustin Poirier. He was 4-0 as a pro. And I remember eating some watermelon with him after weigh-ins. So I have that memory kind of pinned with me forever. Me and Dustin Poirier kind of on a little connection there. I've had my opponent change on the night of the fight. 12-6 elbows from mount, from anywhere, have been legal from my first amateur fight. We've been fighting in 4-ounce gloves the whole time. No shin guards, like none of the things that you have. Mississippi was just ruthless. And yeah, probably the craziest story I have like that though would be in Thailand. Like I went to Thailand, and the first time I fought there, I just decided I was going to do it no matter what. And they put me on this poster and put that son of a bitch all over Phuket. And they had me against this little Chinese dude, not little, but he was smaller than me, and I had lost a whole bunch of weight. So we get to the stadium, his whole Chinese team's there. He takes a look at me and he's like, nah. He's too big. I'm not fighting him. And so they pull this Thai kid out of the crowd, about 2 hours for the fight. Like, hey, you're gonna fight him. And he looked pudgy. Well, when he came out in his Thai shorts, he was ripped as shit. And I was like, how does he fight? And they said, yeah, he's got 110 Muay Thai matches, and he's won most of them. I was like, oh damn. And that's on YouTube. That video, I didn't do great, but I knocked his ass out. And I remember that was probably the first time it broke me. I never cared again. I'll fight the whole fighting anybody. That's probably where it started.
Now, were you confident back in the day that MMA would blow up to where it is today, or is this a big surprise for you?
If you're asking if we thought we were going to make it to the UFC, I didn't. I mean, I haven't made it there yet, but I kind of think I might now. I don't know. It's really what I have my mind set to all of a sudden. I don't know, but no, now it's like a viable career path, like for a young man. So, hell no, I didn't think it'd end up like that.
So obviously we talked about it a little bit. Let's get into it. You're taking on Boris Esperanca, PFL. You're fighting.
Say that again. Say that again. How do you say his name?
Boris Esperanca, I believe, is how you say the name. Esperanca. Okay. Teacher, look like photo name here.
Yeah, my redneck ass couldn't figure out how to say that.
So you're taking on Boris in a couple of weeks here. Washington, D.C. Actually, at the time of taping right now, I don't think this is formally announced. So when it is uploaded, it will be announced. But you're taking on Boris. What do you think of him as an opponent?
He's 5'8". I know that. He's jacked. He's super jacked. Man, I've been training with Chase Sherman and Alan Belcher and other big ass dudes, Adrian Miles, for 9 years, and then trained with Brandon Davis. He's the savage that's really fast, really aggressive. I can handle anything. I think I'm pretty strong too. So 6'3" versus 5'8". I took a lot of physics classes, leverage. I like it. Dream matchup.
Are you really feeling like you're riding off of that high from Friday night? Is that momentum and energy? Is that still with you? And do you think that fight is going to be used to maybe turn around your career here?
Yes. Yeah, I believed in myself when the opportunity showed up. I was like, oh, this is about to be it. I'm telling you, this is timed with so many things in my life that I got everything lining up right at the same time as far as my priorities, my actions, my beliefs, my thoughts, all of them. That's all it's focused on. I can feel what it feels like already to get my hand raised in that fight.
Going into this, obviously you got to take care of Boris first. But are you thinking if things go well, maybe, a stint in the PFL, maybe fighting for that prize here in the future?
I have my 4th daughter on the way. Whoever gives me a contract for money and gives me the biggest financial opportunities is going to be what I do right now, for sure. And I mean, I hope they value someone that will literally fight anybody. I'd probably fight at 205 if they called me or like, hey, we need somebody. And like, okay. So I mean, I'm trying to be that person since this is where I've ended up in my career.
A guy in the UFC, a very popular fighter that has that kind of same mentality, obviously Alexander Volkanovski. There's memes all over the internet. Someone comes out, Volkanovski steps in. Are there guys like maybe him or other fighters, brothers that you look
thinking Kevin Holland. I was thinking Kevin Holland. That's 100% who I think of. I can't compare myself to Volkanovski. I'm not a pound for pound, but I can compare myself to Kevin Holland because he's coming to scrap with whoever he fights, and he's gonna show up every time. That's me, and I'm gonna try to knock you out, and I can knock you out. But yeah,
you've had some very violent knockouts, some great finishes in your career. I want to play a little game right here. I want to play Tyler Hill's favorite 3 knockouts from his career. What do you got? What's on the rankings?
Well, my first fight, the one where Dustin Poirier was there, I knocked the guy out bad, and I was so scared. I remember when the fight started, the way the dude looked, I was like, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? And he put me in a rear naked choke and was choking the shit out of me, and I got out of it somehow and just knocked him out cold right there. As soon as he stood up, I could still feel like a glimmer of that. I head kicked the guy. I low kick, looked down at his leg, high kick, and I knocked him out. And really, it was a super violent knockout. And one of the pros on the card gave me some Jack 3D before that fight, and I didn't even know what pre-workout was back then. It was when it was the old formula that you hear about. After the fight, I was screaming, acting crazy, and I understand that more than I did at the time because they had me on some shit. And then probably the other one I remember, honestly, is me getting knocked out on Contender Series. That was, I'd never been knocked out before. I didn't think I could be knocked out. And I was winning. I felt like I was winning that fight. I felt like I was going to beat that guy. The fight was going on and I was starting to feel confident. And then I just never been hit that hard in my life. And I just have a really, really significant memory of that. I try to move out of the way of overhand rights forever now.
For me personally, one of the scariest, knockouts finishes that I ever seen was you and Biloxi at Gamebred last year, and you finished James Freeman. I mean, he was down there for a while. I'm really glad that he's okay. He was able to recover from that. But was that kind of a scary moment for you down like that?
I hated it. James Freeman's a really cool dude. So that was, it's what we do. I was taking my knuckles and trying to smash it in his eyeball. And it's different. That's why bare knuckle is so wild, is because like it's more emotional. It's more, for me it is. It's more like primal. I'm really trying to fuck you up before bare knuckle because I know you can hurt me. And I don't even like to cuss these days, but that's the emotion whenever you're in there with no gloves on. Yeah, I never want to hurt a guy that's in there fighting for his family just like I am. But we sign up for it. If you do it to me, it's cool.
You know, it's been already announced, but the next Game Bred Bare Knuckle main event or fight is going to be Randy Costa against Brandon Davis. Is that something that you want to be part of wherever it seems to be?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, in a dream world, jump knee knockout this super stout dude from Africa, and they give me a contract, and then I fight in like $1 million tournament next year, right? That would be the dream world. Or you get a UFC offer off this win, whatever. But I will always fight bare knuckle MMA, and there's a lot of guys that they have on their roster that I would make a real good fight with.
You know, you mentioned a couple times with the UFC here, how that's now a possibility. You think you can get?
I just if the PFL showed up like this, then I can't rule it out because this was wild as shit. I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago, okay, weigh-in day, my wife was talking to me and she's pregnant, but she was upset about fighting because I put so much time and energy into it and it doesn't directly pay me. I don't even teach anymore. I quit doing all that. So I could focus on fighting. And I was like, all right, if I get my ass beat in this fight, I won't fight anymore. Because Game Bred hadn't been announced, and that keeps, I'm like, oh, they're going to announce it. Oh, they're going to announce it. And it's not on them at all. This is shit. I'm so lucky for the opportunities they give me. But if I got my ass kicked in this fight, there's a very strong possibility I'd be getting another job right now, at least for a while, because it's like that. But that's why I'm going right now, dude. This was it for me. Again.
You know, in that period of time after your first experience with the PFL, you know, you mentioned you gave your stuff away from it. You try to erase that from your memory. Was it hard to even watch the PFL?
Yeah, I don't watch it. I mean, I didn't watch it. I don't. Yeah, it was a bad experience. I get to right that wrong now. That's all I got to say about that. I don't care what it was. I can't believe it. That's so crazy. I'm not going to let this opportunity pass me up.
You know, what would it mean to go out there against Boris and pick up a big finish, a big victory on that stage in front of a packed crowd, you know, big audience on ESPN Plus?
I'm going to let you know. I'm going to find out. I can't wait to feel it. I've already been feeling it a little bit. Like I'll just let my head really create that reality. And I let myself say, is this logical? And I'm like, this is logical. 5'8" versus me KO is logical, for real. I mean, I have the tools to do that. You know, how many people is that? Is it in a big stadium? I don't even know.
I know it's in Washington, D.C. off the top of my head. I don't know exactly what the venue is, but, you know, judging, it's obviously a playoff card. You know, by watching the cards as of late, I mean, it seems like a ruckus, big crowd, a lot of excitement, a lot of yelling.
That'd be so dope. I would love that. I messaged him earlier because I had turned in a song. It was a band that I always walk out to, but I was like, oh, damn, Wiz Khalifa's a part of PFL, and I've been listening to Wiz Khalifa for my whole life. And I was like, change it to Wiz, because I want him to hear it when I walk out. It'd be cool.
You know, now what's this process been like now of, you know, gearing up for the fight? Have you had to go do medicals? Is there
this is fun. This is fun. I got an email that was like, I told him, I was like, well, my blood work's good. I got an eye exam because I got everything like 10 or 11 months old. And she's like, no, you don't have anything at all. You literally don't have a single thing because everything's 6 months in Washington. It's like blood work, eye exam, physical, MRI, EKG, EEG, And there might be another one. I think there's one more. I can't remember. So yeah, I'm about to be busy boy for a couple of days.
So does that mean you're going to be running around Biloxi, Mississippi like a madman?
Like a blind madman. They're gonna dilate my eyeballs. Get my 10-year-old daughter to drive us.
And now for the PFL fight, are you planning to bring your daughter, your wife? Is everyone planning to go to that?
She's too scared to get on an airplane. This is also a fun thing. So Alan has an event this weekend. I'm gonna be the medic up there for that. But so he's gonna be boxing, and then I think he has like other stuff. He has a ton of stuff he does in his life. He really needs to stay here until the weigh-in day. So I'm going to the PFL by myself. So because we get 2 plane tickets. So yeah, so I'm gonna be over the PFL by myself, and it's gonna be a real like meditative process.
So are you going to have a corner for you though?
Well, Alan's gonna show up, and yeah, my guys are gonna show up on weigh-in day, but it'll just be interesting because I have to be there Monday.
Oh wow! Experience the whole fight week for the first time in a while.
Yeah. I've done it before, but it was during COVID, so it's way different. Way different.
All right, Tyler. Well, last question for you. It's approaching. I mean, crazy short notice fight here. Just found out a couple weeks ago. But on August 23rd, in a perfect world, what is the outcome when you take on Boris Esperanca?
Jump knee first round.
That might make the top 10 on SportsCenter if you're able to land that one, my friend.
That would be so crazy. Man, some of the stuff that's happened lately has felt like that to me. So I'm not going to rule it out. I would love that.
Well, Tyler, man, I appreciate you hopping on here with me tonight, man. Big inspiration to me. Really enjoyed covering you, and I wish you nothing best. And I can't wait to watch it on ESPN Plus. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, bro. I can't wait. This is wild. I'm going to be ready.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for us today. That's the Zombie Tyler Hill. I'm Carl Prusa. Stick around, fight fans.